Hi, I'm Cordelia Machanoff, and I'm a graduate student in the Department of Crop and Soil Sciences, working with my advisor, Dr. David Suchoff, to evaluate alternative production systems for organic flue-cured tobacco. In this field trial, our objective is to evaluate the use of conservation tillage and cover crop mulch in organic flue-cured tobacco. I'll give some background while we fly over the study. Weed management in organic tobacco is challenging because we rely on cultivation, and in a wet year, this can become difficult or impossible. With conservation tillage, a cover crop is grown over the fall and winter, terminated in the spring, and the cash crop is planted into it. It will suppress weed emergence, but it also helps soil retain moisture and ultimately increases organic matter in the soil. But is this an effective method for managing weeds in flue-cured tobacco? We designed a study to see if a cover crop mulch and conservation tillage can effectively prevent weeds from emerging in flue-cured tobacco fields in North Carolina. This study has been conducted 3 times in 2 environments, 2019 and 2020 at the Cunningham Research Station in Kinston, North Carolina, and in 2020 at the Upper Coastal Plain Research Station in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. We seeded our trial area with Renza Abruzzi cereal rye, a common cover crop variety, in October 2018 and 2019 and allowed the rye to grow until April. In the first year, the cover crop was not fertilized due to concern about nitrogen carryover to the tobacco, but unfortunately, that means the cover crop fell short of our biomass target of 6,000 pounds per acre by about 2,000 pounds. That biomass target is important because it is the physical barrier that prevents weed emergence. In fall 2019, the rye was fertilized at a rate of 30 pounds of nitrogen per acre, and the result was a cover crop biomass several thousand pounds above the target in both locations. To terminate the cover crop without herbicides for organic production, we used a specialized roller crimper with 3 mini rollers that keep the beds intact and flatten the cover crop on the top and sides. This is what the conservation tillage and cover crop treatment looks like once the rye has been rolled down. The cover crop will dry down quickly, but won't decompose because most of it is not in contact with the soil surface. This allows it to stay in place as a barrier to weed emergence throughout the growing season. Once we have the rye rolled down, we use a no-till transplanter to put in the tobacco. This transplanter has coulters ahead of the planting mechanism to cut through the cover crop and open a space to allow for planting. This is what it looked like after transplanting in 2019. You can see there's a slot of bare soil opened around the plants. Remember, because this is an organic system, we don't have the option of any herbicides for this little space of bare soil. In the second year of the trial, we were able to adjust the planter with additional coulters that cut the cover crop better and minimized the exposed soil after transplanting. About a month after transplant, we collected weed emergence data in each location. We used custom quadrats that allowed us to collect weeds from 1 square meter between the rows where the cover crop had not been disturbed, as well as in the row where it had been opened to allow for transplanting. In this image from 2019 at the Cunningham Research Station, on the right is conservation tillage, and we can see the cover crop is doing a good job of suppressing weed emergence. On the left is a conventionally tilled plot with no herbicide or cultivation applied, so we can quantify the level of weed pressure that the cover crop is suppressing. In 2019, weed emergence was 42% lower in conservation tillage treatment than in conventional treatments. We saw a difference in the weed emergence between the rows where the cover crop mulch was undisturbed and in the crop row where it had been disturbed by the transplanter. We collected data separately for in-row and between row, and because the transplanter did a better job this year, we think we'll see less of a difference when we analyze the 2020 data. Conservation tillage with cover crop treatment had a significant effect on Palmer amaranth emergence. We saw an average of 12 Palmer plants per square meter in the conventional treatments versus about 3 in the conservation tillage treatments. The yield in 2019 was relatively low overall, but we did see significant differences between conservation tillage and conventional tillage treatments. Cured leaf yield was 35% higher under conservation tillage practices than conventional. Additional data from 2020 trials is forthcoming. But we don't expect great yields out of any treatment because both locations of this trial in 2020 have suffered from the cool, wet early season and have been flooded several times. We will be able to see if there are differences between the treatments in this unfavorable environment, but yields will be very low throughout the studies. Thank you for watching my virtual presentation, and please let me know if you have any questions.